Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Data Structures and Algorithm in Python course. In today's lecture, we'll be discussing about selection sort. So first, what is a sorting algorithm? What is sorting basically? Sorting is a process to arrange elements in a particular order. Let's say it could be a ascending order or it could be descending order. Let's say you are given an array. So this array, now let's say you want to sort them in ascending order. Means first there will be 2, then whatever the next, there will be 10, 20, then 12, 15 and 20, right? This is in ascending order. Now if you want to sort in descending order, how it will be? First 20 will be there, then 15 will be there, then 12, 10 and 2, right? So to arrange the elements in a particular order, we take help of this sorting algorithms. Now our first sorting algorithm is called selection sort. Okay. Now let's see what is basically selection sort, how it does. So when we think about selection sort, there are basically two things. So what are those two? First we'll select the item. First we'll select the item or element. Okay. Then we'll just swap them. Let's see how it works. Let's say this is an array. Okay. Now when we apply selection sort on this, so selection sort means it will first select whatever the minimum element, then it will place it in the beginning of the array. Then it will find the next minimum index, next minimum element, then it will place in the left side of this array. Okay. So first, let's say it find first minimum element, then place it in the beginning. Okay. So 2 is placed in the beginning. Okay. Then in the next step, what it will find? It will find the next minimum index. What is the next minimum? This is 10, right? Then it will place here. Okay. Then the third smallest element. What is this? This is 12, right? Then it will place here. Then the fourth smallest, 15, place here. Then 20 at the last. So this is the process of selection sort. Now let's see in details how it works. Okay. So let's assume, so I have given you this array. Let's say 20, uh, 12, 10, 15 and 2, right? 15 and 2. Now if I tell you to find, if I tell you to let's find the minimum element, let's find the minimum element in this array and place it in the index 0. Okay. So what you will do? You will iterate over this array and you will find that this element is minimum, right? Then what you will do? You will place in the left. Okay. 2 is placed in the left, but 20 is present here, right? Then where you will send the 20? So what you will do when you place 2 here, so you will send 20 here. Means, well, you will swap the items. So that is basically selection sort. First you will find the minimum element, then you will place at the left side of the array. Okay. So let's say here is 2, then as it is 12 will be there, 10, 15, then 20 will be placed here. Okay. Now this is done. So this is our first step. Now let's say I tell you, let's forget this first part. Okay. Let's forget about this first part. Now you do the same thing for the remaining elements. For this remaining elements, means you have to find the minimum element from this part of the array, then you will place at the starting of the array, beginning of the array. Okay, let's do that. First, so 2 will be as it is, right? 2 will be as it is, will not touch it. Then from here, what is the minimum element? Minimum element is 10, right? So what we'll do, we'll place this 10 at the beginning of the array, right? So we'll place 10 here. Okay. Then in the position of 10, what we'll do, we'll put this 12. Means, well, swap this item by 10, right? Then the remaining element will be there. Okay. Now what I'll take, so let's forget about this part. Let's forget about this part of the array. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll do the same thing. We'll repeat the same thing. So first from this remaining part, we'll find the minimum element, right? So from this part, what is the minimum element? minimum element is 12, right? So this 2 and 10 will be as it is. Then will be, so what is the minimum element here? The minimum element is 12, right? So we'll write 12 as it is, right? Then 15 and 20 will be there. Okay. Now let's forget about this part. Okay. And let's do the same thing for this remaining part. Okay. Now let's find the minimum element from this array. Okay. What is the minimum element? It is 15, right? It is 15. Okay. So 2, 10, 20, 12, it will be as it is. Now 15 will be there, then 20 will be there. Now forget about this part. Now you can see when we do this operation, can you see this left part is sorted? So when I do the first operation, so this 2 is sorted, this part is sorted. Okay. Then at step 2, 2 and 10 means these are basically sorted in the ascending order, right? Then in the next step, this part is also sorted in the ascending order. But right side of the array wouldn't be sorted, right? It could be in any order. That's how in step by step process we'll be sorting this array using this selection sort, right? So this is basically the process. First, we'll find the first minimum element, then we'll place at the left side of this array. Then we'll forget about this part. Then we'll do the same operation for the remaining one, right? So this is the process. Let's understand by this picture. So let's say this is our array 20, 12, 10, 15 and 2, right? Now in the first step, in the zeroth step, what we'll do? We'll compare what is the minimum element. So we'll compare 20 with the next element 12. So now what is the minimum element between them? 12, right? 12. Okay. Now we'll compare this 12 with 10. Okay. Then what is the minimum element? Minimum element is 10. Okay. Now we'll compare 10 with 15. What is the minimum element? Minimum element is 10, right? So we'll not update. Now what is the minimum element here is? It is basically 2. Then whenever we find the minimum element, we'll store this, the index of this minimum element in a variable, right? In a variable. So till now, what is the minimum element? Minimum element is 12, right? So we'll be storing this index 1. Okay. Because 12 is placed in the index 1. Then in the next step, 10 is the minimum, right? We'll compare this minimum value with the next element. Then 10 is minimum, right? Between this 12 and 10. Then we'll store 2. Okay. Then when we compare 10 with 15, we see that 10 is minimum between them. So we'll not change the minimum index, right? Then when we at last, we'll see that minimum index change to 4. Now we have find in the first step, this is our minimum element, right? This is our minimum element. Then what we'll do? We'll place this to beginning of the array. And to place this beginning of the array, what we'll do? We'll swap this two values, right? So we'll swap this 2 with 20. So index, so we'll swap index 0 with index 4, right? These two element will be swapped. Then the remaining part of the array will be constant. Okay. This is the first part. Now in the first step, this part of the array is sorted. Okay. Now the minimum element is placed to left of the array. Then in the next step, what we'll do? We'll forget this part. We'll forget this part. We'll start from here. We'll start from here. Okay. Then first step, we'll be comparing this 12 with 10. What is minimum? Minimum index is 2, right? Minimum index is 2 because 10 is minimum. So we'll store this. Then next step, we'll compare 10 with 15. Minimum index will be 2. And here also minimum, if we can compare 10 with 20, then also minimum index will be 2. Then what we'll do? So we forget this part, will not consider this part. Then left side of the array would be this. So we'll swap these two values. Okay. Okay. We'll swap this two values, not this one. We'll basically so swap this two values. 10 is minimum. We'll swap with this 12. Okay. Now 10 is at the left and 12 is swapped with this value where 10 is presented. Now this part of the array is done. Okay. This part of the array is sorted. Now we do the same thing for next step. We'll start from here. First element is 12. Okay. we'll compare 12 with 15. What is the minimum? Minimum is 12, right? So we'll store this index of the minimum element here. Now when you compare 12 with 20 also, so the minimum index doesn't change, it is basically 2. Then we'll swap 12 with 12, right? Then this part of the array is sorted. Okay, then in the next step what we'll do, so this part is sorted, we'll do operation for this. Now when we compare 15 with 20, then what we'll see, this 15 is already minimum, then we'll be swapping this 15 with 15. now now tell me one thing, for the last element should we compare, whom do we compare with? Because this is single element, right? That's why we'll stop at this point. Mean we'll be running a for loop from 0 to n minus 2. Okay, n minus 2. Now let's see how we can do this, how we can write the code for this. So you can see for each step, for each step, for step 0, we will be find the minimum value and place with index 0, right? So let's run a for loop for, so let's say I will be ranging from 0 to n minus 2, right? Then what we'll do, we'll find the minimum index, minimum element, right, from this part, from this whole part, from 0 to n minus 2. Okay, for that we'll consider a variable called mean. Let's say mean. Okay, or let's say mean index. Okay, and we'll be initialize that our this first element, the left side of the array, this first element is our minimum index. So let's say minimum index is I. Okay, minimum index is I. Then what we'll do, we'll run another for loop, and running for loop from this here to here. Okay, now we'll run a for loop for j will be varying from I to n minus 1. Then what we'll do, we'll compare with the current value. So we'll compare error of error of j error of j with error of the element at this main index idx. Okay, that will compare. When we find that, let's say we compare this 20 with 12, and we find this 12, the element at this j point, this is minimum, right? So if we find error of j is less than error of I, so let's say I is here, j is here. So when we find error of j is less than error of I, then immediately we'll change our pointer. So initially it was 1, so definitely then, so let's say initially it was 0, then when we find this is minimum, then we'll update this 0 to 1, right? So what we'll do, we'll change this, update this mean index, mean idx, sorry, to j. Okay, when we find an element is less than the element at mean index, then we'll update the mean index, right? Then at the last what we'll do, we'll swap these two values, we'll swap this value error of I with error of mean index. Mean we'll be swapping this error of I, okay, error of mean index with error of mean idx and error of I. Okay, so we'll be swapping this two value, error of I with error of mean index. Okay, and then we'll be done. So this is the code for this problem. So let's write it out. So let's go to our VS Code. Okay, let's say this is our array. Now let's write the function for this. Let's create a def and then selection sort. Okay, then it will take array. Okay, then let's run a for loop for I in range ranging from 0 to length of error. Okay, let's take a variable, let's take n equals to length of error. Okay, now I'll be ranging from 0 to n minus 2, sorry, n minus 1. Okay, because n minus 1 will be excluded. Now we'll take a variable called mean index idx equals to, let's initialize with 0. Let's assume the current element is our minimum element. Then we'll store the index of this current element. Okay. Then we'll run another for loop for j, and that will be ranging from starting from I, and it will goes up to n minus 1. Okay. And then what we'll do, we'll check if the element at j is less than element at this, sorry, mean index. Then what we'll do, we'll just swap this to value, right? So how we'll swap, will be just creating here of j, sorry, not swapping, we'll be updating this mean index, right? So we'll be changing this mean index to j. So our new mean index will be changed to j. Then when this, okay, when this loop is over, then we'll be swap this to value, right? So we'll be swapping this I with error of uh, mean index. Okay. Then error of mean idx with error of I. You can swap them using temp variable, that you can do, but I am doing this directly. So this is done. Then from this will be at the outside, what will do, will it return anything? No, right? Because sort doesn't return anything, it will change the original array. So this operation is done. Now let's call this, so let's call selection sort, and this pass this array. And now let's print the array, print sorted array. Okay. Then with this array. Okay. Now let's see, let's run this code, and let's see. Now you can see this array is sorted. So initially it was 20, 12, 10, 15, 2, but now it is changed to 2, 10, 12, 15, 20. Now I hope you have understood how selection sort works. Now let's solve a problem of selection sort. So let's say you are given an array, right? But this array is not array of integers, it is array of tuples, right? It is array of tuples. So you are given an array tuple. Inside that, each element is basically tuples containing name and age. Okay, first Alice, then Bob, then Charlie, right? Now you are asking, you have to sort this people array by the age, by the age. Then how do you do that? You can't do this using simple the sort method in Python. What you have to do, you have to apply selection sort here. Let's see how we can do that. So first write the algorithm for this. Okay, def, let's say selection sort, or let's say, okay, selection sort. Okay, then it will take an array, right? And what we'll do, we'll do the same thing. So first we'll run a for loop for I in range, and range will be from 0 to n minus 2, right? So we'll take a variable n equals to, let's say, length of arr. Then what we'll do, I'll be ranging from 0 to n minus 2, right? That's why we'll take n minus 1. Then we'll take a mean index, let's say mean equals to I. Okay, then we'll run another for loop for j equal in range will be from I to n, right? Now is the thing. So previously what we have compared, we compared this element with this element, right? So let's write it here. So previously we have compared if error of j is less than error of mean, then just update this value, right? So then change this mean to j. But if we compare this tuple with this tuple, it will not give us the answer. What we have to do, we have to compare the age of it, right? So if we consider error of j, that means this thing, this whole thing. So rather what we have to do, we have to compare the element at the first index, right? So let's say error of j equals to this, right? J equals to this. Error of j equals to this. Okay. Then what will be error of j of 1? What will be error of j of 1? It will be nothing but this 30. It will be nothing but this 30, right? So if we want to compare their age, then in spite of this, what we have to write? We have to write index 1, right? Index 1. Okay, this is clear. I hope this is clear. So previously we are just comparing with this jth index, but now we are considering j of 1. Okay, so let's say I want to compare them with name, then what do we have to write? We will be writing 0. Okay, we'll be writing 0 like this, but here we are comparing with the age. Okay, let's write it. Okay, then change the mean to, then the code is same. Then what we'll do, mean I will be updating this mean by j, and then what we'll do, we'll just swap these two values, right? So error of I will swap with error of mean, and equals to error of mean comma error of I. Okay, so this is the code for this. So let's call it, so let's call selection sort and pass this people. Okay, now let's print our sorted array. Okay, then write the same array. Okay, now let's run this. So now you can see, so whose age is minimum? Whose age is minimum here? Bob, right? Now Bob come first. Okay, then which is minimum? This David is minimum, right? So David is there. Then Smith has to 25, right? Smith is 25. Okay, then uh then 30 is minimum, right? Then again Alice will be there, and Charlie will be there. Charlie will be 30. Then Eve. Eve's age is maximum. That's why Eve is there, right? So that's how we can solve this type of problem using selection sort, right? So now hope you understand what is selection sort.